So, I suppose that as we begin episode 2, or the Hell of Blazing Fires, I should probably introduce to you. There's probably some notes I should go over before I actually start. Episode 1, as I may or may not have mentioned during the my episode 1 playthrough and commentary, is somewhat of a proof of concept. It started because I wanted to see if this Touhou Doom concept could work. In comparison, episode 2 basically told me that Touhou Doom had the potential to finish, and as a result, I really wanted to see how far this could go. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be, because fundamentally the scope of the project outscaled what I originally thought it would. But I'm happy for that, because the mod really starts to shine as you get to that level. With that in mind, I'm going to start. And so plot-wise, we exit the mortal realm, and we are sent to what is effectively kind of a waiting place for the afterlife. Known as Hakuyokuro, this stage is, well, I'll talk more about the stage when it starts. We meet the mysterious boundary yokai, whom I will formally introduce way later. And also a little fun fact about the boundary yokai. She's partially written by myself according to the game script, but I actually had my brother modify some of the dialogue to be what I felt was more faithful to the character. As a result, she is arguably more annoying than she originally was, because, well, she's like that. So, this gateway was one of those weird things that I put a rather large amount of effort into, but it is actually based on the door texture from Touhou 7, when you get to the gateway to the Netherworld in Stage 4. Let's begin the stage proper, though. So, you may have noticed that we have a couple of new weapons, and this system seems to work slightly different from how your previous weapons work. This is because these are Danmaku weapons. They work much more akin to how their weapons would work in the actual Touhou series. So each of these weapons is actually 3 different shot types. We got Homing Amulet, Persuasion Needle, and Hakari Amulet. Power. So all 3 of these weapons are taken completely from the actual Touhou games, and the 3 weapons of this are from Reimu, and the 3 weapons here, which would be Illusion Laser, Magic Missile, and Magic Napalm, are taken from Marisa. 2 characters which we haven't met later, but will be important. And the way it works is that rather than ammo, the game uses a power system, where as you pick up more power, your weapons become more powerful. That's what the little P stands for. And this stage itself is based off of Touhou 13, and it's based off stage 1. In general, you can tell what stage I've based a map off of just by using the music, because almost any time I try to make a homage to a Touhou stage, I'm going to be using its music as well. Though this admittedly becomes less reliable once you get to episode 3 and beyond. The flamethrower is good at close range. The homing amulet's good at long range. And the mid-range Persuasion Needle is pretty powerful. It's your plasma rifle. Otherwise, there's not too much to talk about the stage. The map, as you can tell, is literally just a giant staircase. And the reason for that is, well, Touhou 7 and Touhou 13. Touhou 7 Stage 5, Touhou 13 Stage 1, basically. Where entrance to the Netherworld is, in fact, a giant staircase. With that in mind, I'm going to grab one more medikit. Not that it matters, and you'll see why. So 229 power going into the first boss. Oh yeah, so during this cutscene I'll explain how spell cards work. The way it works is that each of these spell cards will, basically, they have the ability to make you temporarily invulnerable, do a lot of damage, and clear bullets. If you've played any Danmaku game, you kind of know what bombs are. And you might notice these spell cards, well actually I'll bring that up later. I'll bring up the complications later. Each spell card is based off of something from the actual Touhou series. So, plot-wise, I knew I wanted to get out of the afterlife because no point keeping you dead. After all, there's, well, let's see, there's 30 maps in Touhou Doom, not counting any secret ones, and we're on map 10. So there's still 20 more maps after this, which means kind of need to make you alive once again. The mysterious boundary yokai basically pops in, decides to throw a wrench in everyone's plans by making you alive again. And now these two people, who are very much not dead, are going to now, well, Youmu mostly is now trying to correct for the fact that you're not dead when you're supposed to be. So I'm going to actually try to demonstrate all the weapons because I can. Now, yes, now I'll switch to Illusion Laser for this. That's Youmu. As you could probably surmise, there is a phase 2. Welcome to Yukari. Oh, I should not be that close to her. I'm very good at this game. So this is Homing Amulet. The main difference between Homing and Hakari Amulet is that Hakari Amulet is slower, does more damage, but also requires more space. Next up, I'll go and demonstrate Magic Missile. This is probably not a good card to demonstrate Magic Missile on, since Magic Missile requires a lot of focus. Not that Yuyuko is terribly hard for me anymore, so I'm not likely to die. Next up, I'll demonstrate Illusion Laser. At 2 power, you can see this thing is not terribly powerful, but as it goes up in power, it really... And finally, Persuasion Needle. Persuasion Needle is kind of the plasma rifle. It's your main anti-boss weapon, and it's what you'll be using against... It's what you should be using against most of the bosses. Now, for this run, kind of as a proof, I probably won't use any of the big flashy spell cards, but I'll explain system cards in the next map because it's easier to do so there. And yeah, each of the spell cards has a slightly different effect, but they're basically all emergency, I don't want to die, or I want to remove this phase because I keep dying to it. Other than that, though, as you could probably tell just from this, Episode 2 is a lot more Touhou-oriented than Episode 1 is. I really start pushing how far I could take the Touhou Doom concept in this episode, and you'll see more of that as you go into Episode 2. With that in mind, that is the end of this map.